I have the great pleasure to introduce Mrs. Juli, and I want to make sure I say this, Schulte O'Reilly. I've had a chance to speak with her about the last 25 minutes, and I think you are going to find what she has to say wonderful. I think you're going to see that her success that started here at North Penn High School as a member of the swimming and diving team. She was also a member of the tennis team, and I don't know if it's a little known fact, but she actually played boys soccer in middle school as well. That success is carried over to where she went to University of Virginia. She was, let me just read from this, an All-American and captain of the UVA women's swimming and diving team, qualified for the Olympic trials. She was inducted into the NPAAA Hall of Fame as an athlete 10 years ago. And tomorrow night, she'll be inducted in as a Lifetime Achievement Award winner. So each year, the NPAAA sponsors a Hall of Fame for athletes, and each year there's a Lifetime Achievement member. And I'm not going to get into her whole career. I will let her do that. But I want you to give your attention and give her a warm round of applause, Mrs. Juliana Schulte O'Reilly.
Thanks, everyone, and thanks, Principal Nicholson, for that warm welcome. So, good morning, everyone. I'd like to convey my thanks to Principal Nicholson, Principal Bem, the NPAA, and to all of you for having me here today. And, you know, before we get started, today is World Teachers Day, so I'd love to have everyone give a round of applause for their teacher. So I'm here with you today as part of the NPAAA Lifetime Achievement Award. And I have to say, I was humbled and honored when they asked me to accept the award. And I'm humbled and honored to be here with you today. When I heard Lifetime Achievement Award, I thought to myself, wait, what? Lifetime achievement. I still feel like I've got a lot of runway in front of me. And I didn't think about the career behind me as much as the fact that hopefully there will still be 40 or 50 years ahead of me, a lot of which I hope to be doing things and helping people. So in preparing to speak with you today, I don't get to speak with students of your age very much anymore. I am the parent of two girls, 23 and 20. And I was very active with their schools, they were avid soccer players after playing 12 or 13 different sports at different points in time in their life. But I was a soccer coach initially, and then a soccer manager. I've become one of those crazy soccer people who watches the English Premier League on Sunday mornings, and I'm a fanatic about the women's national team. So you can ask me any of their stats. That's I don't follow swimming as much anymore, but I definitely follow women's soccer. So I wanted to connect with you all in some way so that maybe you would take one or two things away from our conversation today. And because I don't spend a lot of time with folks your age, it was a bit of a challenge for me. I've also never been someone who's been number one in line on the pop scene. So I can't really tell you what the most popular music is. My taste tends toward alternative rock, which is a little, you know, go to the alt station on Sirius, or First Wave, which is really my music from high school. I don't really know who the popular celebrities are. I'm about, you know, a year behind is when I catch up on things. So to try and figure out what would be important to talk to you all today, I watched a lot of commencement speeches. College commencement speeches. And what I would have to say is you should definitely go out to YouTube and find Conan O'Brien's commencement speech to the Dartmouth College in 2011. It's pretty amazing. It's funny as all get out. And he's got some good lessons and motivational tips, some of which we'll touch base on today, but I'm not gonna be as funny as Conan, unfortunately. So what I would say is you're embarking on a really exciting time in your life. The next several years are going to be when you get to learn all about you and what it is that drives you and motivates you and makes you happy. And this is true no matter what you're going to do next. whether you go into the workforce immediately, whether you go to a 2 or 4 year college, whether you go into the military, whether you're caring for your family in some way. So I'm going to talk about 5 themes today that hopefully will make sense to you and help guide you as you're learning to be the you that you want to be when you're an adult and getting through these next several years. So the first thing that I would say is do what you're passionate about. Your passion's going to carry you through the late nights, early mornings, and really tough times. Your passion is going to give you the energy to do what it takes to actually achieve what it is you want to do. So as Principal Nicholson said, I played sports here at North Penn, and I loved sports. And the thing, swimming was obviously the sport that I was most successful at. And the thing that I loved the most about the swim team was that I was part of this big, rowdy group of people who were great leaders and who were winners. And I was inspired by this group of people. I met Coach Rick Carroll when I was 7 years old and swam on the North Penn Aquatic Club. And I also met Pat Henry, who is a former NPAAA award winner and the coach of our 1979 state championship swim team. I met Selma Bjorkland, who's still associated with the school here, and Bill Bartle as well. And all of them were great coaches and athletes and terrific motivators and inspiration for me at the time. As I progressed in swimming, what I knew I came to not love was getting up at 5 a.m. 5 days a week, as well as doing practices in the afternoon. It made me really tired. It got me sick a lot. I was sick a lot in high school. And I smelled like chlorine all the time. My first period classmates, we would sit at those tables with 2 chairs. They would like scooch away from me because I smelled like the swimming pool. But I loved being part of that team, and I loved working hard so I could get a place on a relay as a freshman, so I could make districts and go with the team and help them to win districts as a team, and so I could qualify for states and go to states and help them win states as a team. I was also passionate about learning when I was here at North Penn, and there were such incredible opportunities at this school. I had terrific teachers, I took excellent courses, and all of that prepared me incredibly well for college. I also really enjoyed the enrichment part of this high school. And it's really amazing. There aren't that many high schools who commit as many resources to art, the performing arts, and to other enrichment activities as this high school did and does. So I took art and I took cooking classes, which helped the creative side for me and allowed me to reduce a little stress from my hectic schedule. And there were clubs to be part of, to volunteer and help people. And there were plays and concerts and dances to enjoy. And I understand you still have an amazing marching band and a great drama club as well. So enjoy those things. So these are all things to be passionate about, and let your passion carry you through the hard work that you need to do and the experiences you need to have to be the person you want to be and to do what you want to do. Second, I would say know yourself. What motivates you? Do you like being inside, or do you like going outside? Do you like to move around during the day? Or are you content with sitting? Do you like to be with people, or do you like to be by yourself? Or where are you on the continuum between those extremes in each one of those things? The great thing about where you are in your life right now is that the next several years are all about learning who you are. So take advantage of it. Any chance you get to take a personality test or to sit back and reflect and think, what makes me happy? Do that. And what I would say is take advantage of everything that's available to you, because it's all out there for you. You can do anything you want to do as long as you put your mind to it and you're willing to work hard enough for it. And what I would say as well is don't let anyone tell you that you're not good enough or that you don't work hard enough or that you can't succeed. It's not true, and only you can be the determinant of whether you fulfill your dreams and whether you're successful at what you want to do. So in this regard, I just want to share 3 stories with you briefly. Although I had a lot of success here at North Penn, my senior year wasn't going so well swimming-wise. I wasn't swimming as fast as I had my junior year. I wasn't having as much fun, and part of that was probably because I wasn't swimming as fast. And upon reflection, I was pretty burnt out by the summer after graduation and before I went to UVA. So during this time, my club coach, so I swam here in high school, but I also swam as part of an aquatic club elsewhere, was starting to get pretty frustrated with me. And I think he thought I just wasn't trying or I didn't have enough determination or grit. And so one day at practice from 10 lanes away, this was outdoors at Norgwen, he screamed at me, "You're never going to be able to be a lawyer." So I don't know if he was just trying to motivate me. Negative reinforcement motivation was kind of a thing back in the day, or whether he truly felt that way. But I have to tell you, I sat there and thought for a second and thought, this guy doesn't know anything about me. I have the strength of mind, I have the will, I have the determination to do what it takes to go to law school, to succeed in law school and become a lawyer, and I'm gonna do it. And I did. So unfortunately, notwithstanding the fact that this person that I trusted and who made me a world-ranked swimmer helped me get to that place, I wasn't gonna let him tell me what I could or could not do in my life. So the second story I would say for you is I went to the University of Virginia, and if anyone's ever been there, it's a beautiful school. It's on the National Historic Registry, and Thomas Jefferson, our 3rd president, conceived and built the school, and he designed it himself. So they called Jefferson a man of many parts because he could do a lot of things. And he was a statesman and an architect and a farmer and a vintner and everything else. So it's a beautiful school. You should check it out. The main part of the school that Jefferson built is called the Lawn, and it has a rotunda at the front that looks like the Jefferson Memorial in Washington. And it has what are called lawn rooms and pavilions that come off of it. And the professors lived in the pavilions, and they were selected to live there. And the students who lived on the lawn were 4th-year students or seniors, and they were selected by the students who lived on the lawn the year before. So most of the kids who were selected to live on the lawn were the president of the student government, the editor-in-chief of the newspaper, the head of the engineering society, the head of the interfraternity and sorority council. And I didn't have any of those things, but I really thought it would be cool to live on the lawn. And I looked at the criteria, and I applied. By this point, as a junior in college, I'd been the captain of the swim team, and I went on to be the captain again my senior year. I was in a leadership role in an honor society. I did the NCAA Big Brothers and Big Sisters program. And I was in a leadership role of basically the equivalent of the Key Club in college. And so I applied, and I know it was a long shot, but it was something I thought would be really fun to do. And I went and told my swim coach after I had applied, and he goes, "Oh, there's no way you're gonna get that." And I have to say, I was really surprised because I thought it was a long shot. But I'm really glad I listened to myself and I did that, because if I had asked first and gotten that response from someone close, unfortunately, I probably wouldn't have done it. And then the third example I would say is, and it was about the last time I was in this building, so it was 10 years ago. Many of you were, 5, 6, 7, 8 at the time. We had a really bad financial crisis. And I had just started my job at American Express, which many of you may know is a large financial services company, mostly in the credit card business. And I went there as a banking lawyer. So I was excited to start my new job, but it was a pretty crazy time to be in the financial services industry because a lot of big banks were failing. And when I got to this 60,000 person company, my job turned into something I hadn't really expected. I was about the only person in the company who knew anything about banking law and regulation. Previously, the company had not been regulated. And all of a sudden, my job got very big and very intimidating, and not really something that I had thought or expected when I took the role. All of a sudden, I started working about 65, 70 hours a week, and I was briefing senior executives in the company, including our CEO. As a matter of fact, one evening, I had to go to his home and brief him and the entire leadership team of the company. Not something I ever thought I would do. It was pretty overwhelming at the time, and I was also commuting back and forth between Washington and New York, and my children at the time were 13 and 10. And, I made the decision that I needed to rise to the occasion, and this is the conversation that's going on in my head. My legal department needs me, my company needs me, I've got to step up and do this thing for them because they really need some guidance on what's happening. And I'm really glad I did. And that solidified my role in the legal department as a leader. And now I'm one of the senior leaders in the department, and I have a very large team, and I'm a counselor to the general counsel. So each of these 3 stories is a bit of a progression over time about knowing yourself and what's important to you and what you have to do at difficult times. And so I would just ask you again, spend some time listening to yourself. What makes you happy? What motivates you? What do you not like to do? And then follow a path that will help you achieve those things. The third thing I would say is hardly anyone can be successful alone. So ask for help and take others with you. So I'm very grateful to all the mentors, sponsors, coaches, teammates, colleagues, and teachers I've had in my life. My 12th grade calculus teacher is in the room. Mr. Carroll, my very first coach, is in the room, and I'm very grateful to them. The amazing thing about this high school in particular is that you have teachers and coaches and administrators who are here and they're invested in you. They decided to do this for their career because they want to coach you and make you the best that you can be. So take advantage of it, for sure. You will not always have that in your life, where you will have so many people really focused on helping you be successful and the best you that you can be. And cultivate your friendships and relationships. It's your friends and loved ones who will see you through the tough times. They'll keep you grounded. They'll remind you of who you really are and how the authentic you can achieve success. I often kid my husband, who's a very busy senior executive himself, he runs a big company, that he has become my executive coach. And he listens patiently, and he's not a patient person, but he listens patiently to what I say and then periodically interjects and says, maybe you should think about this, or maybe you might want to consider doing something like that. And it's incredibly valuable advice that has helped me be successful. One of my brothers is a former teacher at Souderton High School, and he was a state championship swimming and water polo coach. When I was swimming, he used to give me advice, which was terrific and very helpful. One of my sisters used to just listen, which was really nice to have sometimes. And one of my other brothers was in corporate America for a while before he started his own company. And he was very helpful to me as I was a young lawyer and thinking about corporate environments and how to act and help others and be successful. And finally, throughout my career, I've met some amazing women lawyers who are both colleagues and friends through bar associations. And they've been terrific friends and confidants and support systems throughout the years. So find those folks who will support you and understand who you are, and lean on them when you need to and be there for them as well. Fourth, I would say do something bigger than yourself. Whether it's your sports teams now, or a religious or fraternal community, or a volunteer organization, join something that's bigger than yourself. Help find solutions to other people's problems. It'll help you get outside your own head, and it'll make the things that you're wrestling with seem a lot easier to deal with. For me, when I was here at North Penn, in addition to my sports, it was Key Club. I really enjoyed being part of that, and we did a lot of volunteer activities in the community, often for senior citizens. And they were incredibly appreciative, and it made me feel good, and it was fun in the process. What I've been doing the last 25 years is being active in various bar associations, and I've sat on a number of boards at the University of Virginia. Right now, I'm the vice president of the Virginia Athletics Foundation, and we raise all the scholarship money for all the athletes at the University of Virginia, and the NCAA allows us to have about 440 full scholarships at the school. So we raise all that money. We also raise money for facilities as well. And it's very rewarding to be able to do that and give back in a way that someone allowed me to go to school there for free as well. And the last thing I would say is embrace your failures. We're all human. We're all going to make mistakes. Even winners fail. And I have one story to tell you about failure. So my third year of college, we were favored to win the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship in swimming. North Carolina, University of North Carolina, had been the powerhouse in swimming for like 20 years. And UVA had a terrific team. And so I was swimming the 100 backstroke, and I had a great swim in the morning, and I was seated second in finals. All we needed to do was have me score even 8th place, and we would have won. And I wanted to beat the girl who was ranked first. So I was swimming my event. The rate with which my arms were turning over was faster than it normally was. So I was swimming very fast, but it threw off my count when I got to the flags at the end of the pool and when I should do my flip turn. And back in the day, you used to have to touch the wall on your back before you could do a flip turn to go to your next lap. And I missed the wall with my hand, and the referee was right above me. And so I got disqualified. So not only did I not have a time that would count for anything or receive a medal, I had cost my team their first ACC championship. Since then, the team's won about 15, and they're ranked in the top 10 in the country now. But as you can imagine, it was pretty personally devastating. But I think what you have to do when you have a failure like that is just keep going forward. There were more events to swim that weekend. There was NCAAs in 4 weeks, and there was a whole nother year after that. And so you have to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and say, okay, I screwed up, but I gotta keep going for myself and my team. And what I would say is, unfortunately in life, we're all gonna fail. But most of our failures really will make us stronger. So the German philosopher Nietzsche once said, what doesn't kill us will make us stronger. And it is true. And most mistakes, as long as you don't harm someone else, but most mistakes are things that we can all recover from. And they certainly don't kill us. So what I would say is thank you again for giving me time to speak with you today. It's been an absolute honor and privilege to be here and be back at my high school. I was telling Principal Beam that when I was a sophomore, there was a political convention here for the juniors and seniors, and there was a big sheet hanging from the side over there, Jerry Garcia for president. Many of you may be too young to know Jerry Garcia, but he was the lead singer in a band called the Grateful Dead, which was pretty popular in the 70s. And so I always think of that when I come into this room. But I just want you to keep in mind the things that we talked about here today. Do what you're passionate about, know yourself and what's important to you, ask for help, and take others with you. Do something bigger than yourself, and embrace your failures, learn from them, and move on. So, thank you very much. So I think we have a few minutes for questions. And I know, like, in front of all your high school friends, you don't want to ask a question because it's kind of embarrassing, but do it anyway. Somebody here is thinking something, I know it. All right, who wants to ask me a question, what it's like to get up at 5 in the morning and go to swim practice? We have a question, all right. Pardon me? Did I? No, I didn't date Mr. Schetzline, but I'm trying to think, Rob, did we meet in elementary school or junior high school, or was it here? Did you go to Pembroke? Yep, we went to Pembroke. Yep, there we go. I think as well, I don't know if Tori Young is in the audience, but Tori swam for me at Norgwen when she was like 10 years old. So it's nice to see that she's a teacher here as well. You know, the thing about having high school 36 years behind you is you forget a lot of things. But I did have a big smile on my face when I saw that Mr. Schetzline was here as a teacher, because he brought a lot of happiness to people every day in high school. He has a great personality and kept us all entertained.
I know we have some business classes here, so maybe we can ask her a couple questions about her current job and how she actually got to the point that she is in with American Express.
As the woman over there has a question.
Oh, okay. Here, you can.
Did you have any adversity as a woman in athletics?
The nice thing about swimming is that men and women swim together. And I understand the high school, I think, just in the last couple of years has started to have the boys, girls swim together. In college, men and women train together. And women's programs tend to be better if you can train with the men. So when colleges and universities periodically go through their waves of having difficult budget times and they look for sports to cut, if you're at a school that has football, which has 65 scholarships on it, you tend to cut other men's sports. And sometimes men's swimming is on the list. And the women's coaches tend to come out and fight against that because the women are better when they train with the men. So I actually, throughout most of my career in college, swam in a lane with 5 guys who were all about 6'2", and very fit and very fast, and they swam the IM and 200s and things. So it was great to be able to compete on the same level with them. And I really didn't feel any inequality in sport until I broke my hand my third year. I was swimming in this lane, the biggest guy in the pool, and I hit hands together when we were swimming butterfly. And I broke my hand, and you can still sort of see where it is. And I went down to the training room, and the head sports medical doctor had been with the university probably about 45 years at that point in time. And I hadn't realized, so I graduated here in '82. The University of Virginia only became a coeducational university in 1970. So I was in the 12th graduating class of women at that school. And so when I got to the training room, when you break your hand, it hurts. So I was crying. And I got down there, and the doctor kind of looked at me, and he's like, "Stop crying like a girl." Of course, I'm like, I am a girl. But he goes, "Stop crying like a girl. This is a common football injury. I don't see them crying when they're in here." So I would say in all the years of being in sport, that's the only time I think anyone ever said something different because I was a woman. It just, it made me focus on the fact that UVA had been an all-male institution for a long time, which actually wasn't that uncommon until the 1970s. Princeton first admitted women in 1970, and most of the small liberal arts colleges were either all-male schools or all-female schools. But that really started to change in the 70s, and I think, frankly, we're all better for it. The other time I would say in sport, now that I think about it, so I did play on a boys' soccer team in junior high school. They didn't have girls' soccer at the time. My sixth grade teacher at Gwen Noor Elementary School played soccer in college. And he had us outside every day for recess. It was the best. The other teachers were women who didn't like to go outside when it was raining, and my class was outside, rain or shine or snow, and we either played softball with a kitten ball, if anybody remembers what that is. It's a baseball-sized softball, so it's kind of coated and a little harder. You can hit it further than a softball. And we either played that or we played soccer every day. And he grabbed me and two other girls one day and said, "You guys need to go out for the soccer team in middle school." And we said to him, "There's no girls' soccer team." And he said, "I've talked to the coach. It doesn't matter. You guys are fast enough. You're strong enough. You'll be able to keep up with the boys." And the coach is all for it. So what I would say is there's an excellent example of how someone in a leadership role saw something and really encouraged and pushed something forward. So, and that's what I love about sports. I think most people are that way.
Any other questions out there?
Anybody have any? Oh, there we go. A question in the front. Sure.
Stand up.
It's a great question. So just to repeat, the question was, how was it being a mom and working and going back and forth to New York and juggling the family, and how did that affect my relationship with my husband and my kids? So I have an incredibly supportive family. And what I would say about my husband's career and my career is that we both have pretty high-powered, intense careers, but the intensity of our careers has been at different times. So when my children were younger, I left my law firm partnership so I wasn't working all sorts of late nights and weekends, and I could spend more time with them, and I got off an airplane and was able to be part of the PTA and go to the parent-teacher conferences and see them more. And he was traveling a ton and working really hard. And then we kind of did a flip at one point. And so, you know, what I would say is you have to talk to your spouse. You have to know yourself. I was telling Principal Bem earlier that, you know, I'm a fairly intense person. There's a lot of energy packed into 5 feet 8 inches. And I used to kid my children all the time that it's good that they had a full-time working mom because it might have been just a little bit too intense in the house if I had been around the whole time. So it's different for everybody. And I think what you need to do, again, just know yourself and know that careers are long. You need to be thoughtful about them, but they're long. And you can come in and out of really intense roles. And you should think about whoever your partner or support system is in life, having open and honest and transparent conversations with them about what's important to them, what's important to you, and how to work together to make it work.
Great question. All right, so I believe the period is about to end. Can we give a nice round of applause to Mrs. O'Reilly?